Welcome everyone in another episode of Researcher Celebrity powered by Empowering Science Foundation. Today we have Dr. Shivalee with us, and Dr. Shivalee is way more than just a researcher celebrity. And just to introduce, Dr. Shivalee has done her bachelor's from YC College Satara, and then for master's she went to Shivaji University, where she pursued master's in biotechnology. Then she moved out of India to pursue her dreams with the wings of passion and her interest in research. She went to Friedrich Schiller University, Germany, and then she did a one-year postdoc at Denmark at Aarhus University. And finally, she landed in the United States, where she is pursuing research and enjoying that. With this, I would like to welcome Dr. Shivalee.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a great opportunity, and I feel very privileged to come to your platform and talk about my journey.
Yeah, so the standard question, how we start the conversation is like, when and how you decided that you wanted to be a researcher?
As I mentioned in my bio, that my initial dream was to be an aeronautical engineer and to work and fly aeroplanes. But unfortunately, I couldn't get into all these entrance exams. And then I landed into biotechnology. And I guess the whole credit of me being into biotechnology can go to my dad and my grandfather, because my grandfather itself was a scientist in agriculture. So he did his PhD from University of Pennsylvania in United States. And then he formed the Rahuri Agriculture Institute in Maharashtra. And that is when my dad felt that I could, follow his steps and land into science. So, during my first year of bachelor's, I guess I discovered that I am fascinated by science and how the mechanisms in a particular cell work, and how the whole signaling pathways are been interlinked to form a particular, outcome. So that is when I decided that, okay, I should pursue this path of academia. And but my whole credit goes to my dad, who was constantly behind me, pushing and enhancing my CV right from my bachelor's, which is actually required to have during your PhD. So I guess that is when it started.
Okay. So in short, we can say that you did inherit the passion for research.
Yeah. Yeah, we can surely say that.
Okay. So when you were doing bachelor's, as you said that your dad was helping you in that, were you sure that you want to do a PhD even at a bachelor stage?
Yes, I was clear. Pretty much I had a clarity that I wanted to pursue a PhD. And I guess that developed during my master's, that I want to pursue a PhD abroad and not in India. So I did not even apply for NET exam, or I did not even register for these NET exam, which are a qualifying factor in India. So I was pretty much clear that I wanted to pursue a PhD abroad. So during my bachelor's, there was Indian Science Congress. This is a conference held in India, and a lot of eminent scientists gather together. They discuss about their journey. So I used to go to that conference to meet a lot of people and to understand that how is this process of applying. And so I had a clarity. And I guess I also tell all the aspiring PhD students, right from the beginning, to have this clarity, because then you have a focused vision and all your actions are led to that, which can help you to get there sooner than later.
Nice. So with this clarity, like, would you like to share that what was the key factors which made you decide that you want to pursue a PhD not in India but from abroad?
I don't say that the PhD in India is lacking sometimes, but unfortunately, the years we spend in getting the PhD in India are much more longer than in Europe. And the exposure or the techniques which we use in India are not that advanced yet. And we could face this in the COVID-19 times, where the research was been lagging, but there are a lot of institutes which did put chip and hard work together, to develop vaccines and stuff. But the progress or the economy of India does not support research a lot as compared to abroad. I would put it that way.
Yeah. So this brings us to funding issues. We have seen in India that fellowship is not very regular.
Yeah.
Students who are pursuing PhD have responsibilities. They get fellowships like not monthly mostly, but whenever it comes in one like annual or 6 month or 3 months, it is tough to manage that. So I did get that point. How about the work-life balance? You have seen, you have experienced a bit of research in India, how it works, and when you were in Germany, how was that different in terms of work-life balance at both the places?
The work-life balance is totally different. Here, especially I would talk about Europe because I have spent a lot of my research work in Europe. So there, it is all balanced, and you have a calendar where you have to chip in, like, okay, this is what I'm going to start today, and by Friday I would have these results. And then if you have a fixed calendar and fixed schedule, then I guess then you don't have to work on weekends. Yes, probably when you have like a publication coming up, then you go on the weekends and you work day and night for it. But it has not been forced. It is by your will that you go and work on the weekends. But in India, the thing is that, as you said, that there are a lot of funding issues and the time. Like if you order a primer on Monday, it gets on Friday, and then obviously the supervisor expects you to have results on the next lab meeting. So I think it's not only the work-life balance issues, but the whole economy issue is the cycle goes on from there. Like it's I wouldn't say the professors are at fault or the students are at fault, but they have to make progress. They have to show progress. So the whole cycle gets disturbed there.
Nice. I think that is something which now will like this budding researchers are way and way more, knowledgeable about it, and they consider all of these things, taking you as an example here. So when you moved out for your PhD, if you can share the ride, how was that?
Okay, the ride was with a lot of rejections, I would say that. So during my last semester of my master's, I did start applying for my PhD applications, and then I used to get a lot of rejections. And I was wondering that why, like, because I had a good score, like I was among the first 3 university toppers in Shivaji universities, and so I thought that I could make it quite easily with all this code, because in India we have been taught like that, right? Your score matters, and all the academic records you have, that will lead you to success and all. But then I used to get a lot of rejections. So studying my rejections, I understood that I lacked a lot of research experience, because my master thesis was in the university where I did plant biotechnology, and it wasn't that advanced. So to enhance my research experience, I started applying to Indian institutes such as ACTRAC or Tata Institute, even NCI or ICER Pune, where they accept trainee fellows where they train for 6 months or 3 months just to enhance their research experience, and they can assist in one of the project which is developing in the lab. So that is how I ended into Advanced Center for Cancer Research Center in Mumbai. And there for the 6 months, I worked as a trainee, and then I got a junior research fellow position in the same institute. And then I started working there. And I guess that 1 year really helped me to develop as a scientist, because I got hands-on experience on how the project has been developed, how it has been taken forward, what are the troubleshooting steps one has to take while understanding the mechanism or while developing the project further. And that is where I think that the whole credit goes to the Tata Institute, where my CV was literally enhanced. And then I at least went to the interviews later. So through this process, I applied to the Summer School of Molecular Medicine, which is sponsored by DAD. And that is when I got like this fellowship where you have been invited from developing countries to spend 1 month in University of Vienna, where you have lab rotations for 1 week each, where you go into one lab, you understand their research, what are the techniques they are using, and you get hands-on experience on it. And in the final week, you have to give a presentation and picking from the lab which you liked, and then that is how you end up into a PhD position there. So I went through all these processes, and then I got my PhD position. So that was the whole roller coaster ride I went through.
So this was before joining, like before registering as a PhD student.
Yeah.
If I heard it right, you said it was 1 week rotation.
Yes. So you have been invited in Germany for a month, which consists of 4 weeks. And then initially you have been given a lot of different labs. So you have to pick and choose labs according to your interest. And then you get to spend 1 week in that particular lab where you meet the students, meet the professor, understand the research, and try doing one experiment which uses most of the techniques they have. So you learn new technique as well. And so this rotation continues for 4 weeks. And in the end, you have to pick one lab from these 4 labs and present the research which they are doing.
Because in India also now, institutes like National NCBS and IISc, they also have started this rotation system. But I believe the rotation system duration is long.
Yeah.
Because to understand and get a grip of the things going on in a lab, it takes more than a week. And I believe you were like super genius in that way, that
No.
you were decided.
No, it was not geniusness, but it was. So this week you don't have to really get expert in the techniques they are using, but the main idea is if you are understanding and if you're interested in that particular research area. So that is how you get to know the professor, you get to meet the lab members and understand the culture of the lab and how the lab works. And that is how you pick and choose the lab. So it cannot be that if you choose a lab, you have to stick to that. You always have an option to apply for other labs and know and move forward with it. So it means the rotation technique is pretty much common in the United States, where graduate students go for, I guess, 3 months into each lab after being selected for the university, and then land up into a PhD position. So this summer school is just a program where a student can understand how is life as a PhD in that particular university, and just to get an hands-on on it, like a pre-doc or a post-bac. This is a popular term used in the United States. So I guess that is the main concept of the summer schools.
So speaking of Indian system for PhD, and please give your inputs in that how important is rotation system, and how important is to understand the lab environment before registering as a PhD student in any specific lab?
I guess it is very important. And I don't mean only in terms of rotation or only in terms of where you get a short amount of time spending in that particular lab, but even if you apply for traineeship right after the master's, or a junior researchship right after the master, where you understand that is research for you, like basically why do you want to possess research. And this is the basic question to ask, like, why am I interested in this? How will I react if the experiment fails? How would I react if I have to do the same experiment again and again, troubleshooting for more than 10 times, or to figure out that is the answer, how you can fit that to the whole story, as we say. So understanding these common questions is really important for a young researcher, because you're going to land up into a PhD position now or tomorrow maybe, and then you're going to spend the rest of your 4 or 5 years developing that idea. And if you don't like it, if the motivation is not there, then the most probable thing what will happen is that you're going to quit your PhD, and then you are going to sulk on it that I wasted so much of years. But so given that time to understand that why you are moving forward, or having that clarity, I would say that it is really important. To give you a basic example is like, do we buy clothes without trying it? So if we are not buying like a basic thing before buying it, then why you want to waste or invest so much of time and energy in the thing where you don't even know that you're going to pursue in a long run or not. So having this clarity is really important. And this is where you get when you work in the labs beforehand, before applying for a PhD. It's like to understand, like, how is it actually to be a PhD student? Talk to a lot of people, conduct a lot of informational interviews, and understand their daily routine. Like, what is it to be a PhD student? And in India, it's only the passion that drives a researcher, because you don't get paid a lot, as we discussed in the beginning, that there are a lot of funding issues. So money cannot be the drive, for all these things. It can only be passion and love for science, which can, move you forward.
I think for all the young researchers, this should be the key point which you should take from this conversation, and at least one of the key points, that checking your commitment is very important. And as Shivalee also mentioned here, that theory and practical can be that different, because in one of our researcher celebrity conversation, this thing came up that everyone does PCR and cloning in theory every time it works.
Exactly.
When you do practical, that's when the failure comes. And to check that how committed you are towards your own passion for research. Now you can take it to PhD, postdoc, or at any level of it, because at every single stage you will be facing different challenges. When you are a student, you are just considering that, okay, how I should get publication, how should I get my PhD over. After PhD, when you are like looking for postdocs, then you are like, okay, how should I design my experiment now? How should I write the grant now?
Yeah.
When you are a faculty, then you think about writing the grant, doing the experiment, like supervising everything, and then again writing more grants based on that funding. So this thing never stops. This is a vicious cycle. So check your commitment before committing to it, because then it never ends. You have to perform one experiment 100,000 times. The outputs might be different because of the scientific question you have asked. The technique is the same, the tool are the same. So you have to check that how good you are with this uniqueness of the boredom, because that is one thing which most of the researchers say, that sometimes they get bored because they have to repeat the experiment over and over again. So you have to check. Shivalee, speaking of this thing, how did you manage to face all of this during your PhD?
I don't know how did I manage, but it was definitely hard, and I did sail the boat. There were a lot of tough times during my PhD, but I think it all ended good, that I got my PhD and I managed to at least put out my work. And I don't know how I managed. I guess the drive, maybe that helped me to sail the boat. But it is tough. Like, I don't deny that it is not tough, and there will not be, even if it is abroad, people think that life can be easier there, but it's not the case. Like, you still have to work really hard for getting your PhD and knowing the research, what you're doing. But I guess daily habits can really help you to keep your mind sane and keep your mental health in state, like reading and meditating, or having a hobby like sports or something, which will help you to clear up your mind. And a really strong community which is there to help you in uncertain times. I think that may drive you.
You just mentioned about the mental health, and now this thing is coming up more and more in different forums at almost everywhere. Was there any significant observation you have made about researchers in India, their mental health, and in Europe, because you have experienced a lot of that? Now you are in United States. How different the researcher is in their mental health and in different continents?
I guess it varies from person to person, like how one tackles a difficult situation at times. But nowadays, there is a lot of awareness about mental health and depression and anxiety issues, where institutes are offering platforms where they conduct like 1 hour meditation on resilience and building your strong confidence and working on that daily, to tackle all these problems, which is really important, because growing up, all these things were neglected and mental health did not exist at that time. And the issues were not being spoken out loud. But now I guess there are a lot of platforms which can help. And I think I'm not the right person to make a comparison between mental health in India as compared to abroad, because when I was a researcher in India, I was quite young and, really drive. So I think I did not face a lot of mental health issues. But during the PhD, struggling daily to understand a particular question, that may affect me at certain point. And PhD also helps you to take criticism in a right way, which is not taught growing up. And I guess that helped me to develop my mental health in a good way, I would say. And yeah, so I guess to keep you sane in the mental health issue is like developing daily habits, like having a strong morning routine where you wake up, you do yoga, or you meditate, or even read a book for 10 minutes, which can make you ready to struggle the whole day or to fight the whole day. So I guess morning routine really is important in a way to keep yourself sane in whatever research you're pursuing. And if your mind is free, then you can think of new ideas, and then you can, work on the research passionately when you have a disturbed mind.
Oh, absolutely. This has mentioned in India in so many ways that you can only fill something if it is empty. If it is already filled, you cannot fill it.
Exactly.
So for all the researchers, keep your mind at least that empty, so that you can always have new ideas, regeneration of ideas, and the troubleshooting is one of the most important part of any researcher. So you can only troubleshoot with a calm mind. With a disturbed mind, no one can troubleshoot. At least that's what I can say. People might have a different opinion on that, so I accept that part also. But okay, and you mentioned yoga, meditation, and what were the things which worked out the best for you?
I guess yoga and meditation really worked out the best when I was really into a situation where I didn't know where my path is going, or I didn't know if I would even get my PhD, because the research was not getting published in a way. Like we were aiming for high impact factor, and that was not happening. So I didn't know why it is, because the research is novel. Is it the way we are presenting, or is it some other reason? So that time, I guess meditation really helped me a lot, and having a strong morning routine, as I said, like yoga, moving to what we were taught in our school, moving back to that morning routine. And now it has been hyped in the Western culture, like meditation and yoga, but this is our Indian roots. Like going back to the roots really helped me in that way.
Nice. I think everyone should always keep some hobbies which can rejuvenate them. And we had conversation with researcher celebrities. Some of them, they don't believe in work-life balance because they are so passionate about research. They say that is the life for them. They cannot think anything out of the research, but that is also not true for every one of us. So you have to decide that what is your genre, how much commitment you have for your research. The commitment for 9 to 5 is way more than enough. Okay. You need not to do this 24/7 when you are with your family or with your friends. But there are people who does that also. What is the most important part is like every single researcher is a human being first. And being human is what makes you all more important, that you have so many things to do. There will be days when your experiments will not work, you can cry, but you need someone to be there for you, which gives you that calmness. And that's what prepares you for the next day. And that's when everything works. So always have these cushions, what I always say. So speaking of cushions, Shivalee, what was your cushion when things were not working well?
I guess I was going to point out this sentence, like having 4 people whom you can talk freely. In my case, I guess it was my mom, my friends, and my uncle or my dad. In my situation, I felt like my whole family was doing a PhD and whole family was struggling to achieve that, because they were my comfort zone and I used to open up to them. And having these 4 or 5 people around you really help you to, move forward, take the right step, and communicate in a way to ask for solutions and not crib about the problems. If you have that attitude towards whatever you're pursuing, I think it would really help you. And like, that is how you can move forward. Like most of the people nowadays, teenagers, they hesitate to talk to their parents about their problems, and they hesitate to open up to their own parents. And I guess that it should not be taken in that way. Like, they are your parents and they understand you way more better than you think they can, and so they can offer you a perfect solution to that. Like, so I guess,
yeah, I think what I will take out of this conversation for sure is the entire family and friends, they are doing PhD with you.
Yeah, that was true. Like, and that was literally true. Like, even my uncle in the end said that finally it is over, that we all got our PhDs.
No, I think this is the highest level of dedication and humbleness. What I can say is, like, this is the due acknowledgement, because they do need acknowledgement, even if they don't say it. But it is always good to acknowledge those small parts, because even when we are publishing papers, we mention the acknowledgements down that, okay, this person has this helped me with this part. Then why we are not acknowledging our pillars? These are the one who are responsible in the first step, that we are here wherever we are, because they were always standing with us. And now when we are talking about this, Shivalee, the question comes that how these pillars have contributed in you being a great researcher.
I guess 80% of me, what I'm today, is their contribution. Like, we come from a society where mostly dads have been hesitant, to send their daughters outside and, to push her outside her comfort zone. And I guess all my credit goes to my dad, who believed in me and who showed confidence in me back then. So he could send me abroad, without anyone. And I think you also come from the same society, where there are a lot of societal pressure that, oh my God, a girl child is going abroad and how she will, manage on herself. But I guess my parents showed a lot of confidence in me in bringing up and in shaping my future. And I guess all of the contribution goes to them. Like if he wouldn't have put the thought of PhD in my head, I wouldn't be here.
And in this month, when we are celebrating women in STEM, I think this is the perfect example which I should be talking about, that the parents, when they have this hesitation that the girl, she will survive in that, why don't we start nurturing our girls in a way that we need not to think about this, that will she be able to stand on her own self? How if we will when she is not in her comfort zone, let's get them trained, equipped, so that at least at later stages we need not to think about it. And this is way more important, not only in research, for the lifestyle also, because we have seen brilliant brains not performing or not able to pursue their dreams because of the societal pressure. Although society is changing a lot in India right now, but this is still the phase which needs to be, even more breaking the barrier, as Empowering Science Foundation speaks about, breaking the barrier. This is one of the barrier which we need to break as a parent, and let them fly. You are the one who gave them wings, then now why to chop them off? Let them fly. And they are the one who will make you proud, because when they will go out, as now Shivalee is so proud of her dad, I'm sure when her dad will see this video, he will be way more than prouder that, yes, I made it. And that is one thing which we believe, that human emotions are very important to do whatever you do. When it is your passion for your research, it is one of the emotions which you need to just tap on and keep on tapping. Because once a researcher is always a researcher, you can never quit research. That is what we say. You might not be a PhD student, but researcher has nothing to do with only PhD.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I would also add, like, I guess both my wings are like my mom and dad. Like, my mom never put a tap on my dreams. Like, I would say that she showed me how to dream and, to pull out my wings and fly. But my dad, when I'm achieving those dreams, showed me that I have to put my feet on the ground and not, fly. So they balance it out.
Oh, that is very important. That is very important, because people have this notion that very successful or genius scientists are very arrogant. So if you are humble, if you are grounded and if you have that training, so that possibility is, gone. You will never be arrogant. Very important point, Shivalee. So now, when you are pursuing your research in States, what are the future plans?
So future plans, I would really like to stay in academia and project my career as a PI, but it all depends, as you mentioned in the beginning, on fundings and if I get a position. And it is very tough to get a position as a tenure track here. But then other way, I would really like to be interested in scientific writing and editing, where I could help. I can still be in science, not on the bench, but behind the bench, communicating the science, to layman in the forms of publications or blogs. And the third aspect would be that I would really like to mentor aspiring students to be in science, to take their next step towards their dream PhD or to the dream future they are expecting. And yeah, that
So,
would be those.
I am aware that you are doing a great initiative of Path to PhD.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so Path to PhD started because when I moved out of India, there were a lot of students who were asking me questions like, how did you apply and what was the track, like what steps did you do, how the CV should be. And during my application also, there were a lot of helping hands. Like, I spoke to millions of people, asking them about their journey, asking them about, their experience in applying and what they changed. So their shortcomings in their application were my strong points, because I knew exactly where they went wrong. So I think that this platform is like a one-stop place where aspiring students can contact and be in this community where we can help each other to get your dream PhD. And through this, I'm really happy to say that one of my mentee was selected as a PhD in Germany itself, and the second one got through the summer school. And we also help in developing the CV, where most of them have got the positions in India in institutes where they are trying their hand if research is for them or not.
Nice. So for all the young researchers, if you are trying to pursue a PhD and before starting applying, Dr. Shivalee is your one-stop place where you should stop and talk to her. Path to PhD is a great initiative. We would like to congratulate Dr. Shivalee for that.
Thank you.
And I request all the researchers, like, if you are if you are facing the failures, now you know where to look and get that sorted, because you are not there to just face failures. You are there to taste the success. So better take the help and do whatever you want to do. Now we are at the end of our conversation. So Dr. Shivalee, what do you suggest our budding researchers, that you mentioned some, in between, but in the bullet points, if you have to give the suggestion that what they should be looking before and joining the PhD and while during it?
I would say that the main point would be know your why. like start with this question, like why I want to pursue a PhD, what are my future goals. And it need not to be like a strong future goal, like stringent one. It can deviate, it can change because life happens. But I guess knowing like why you are interested in research and why you want to pursue a PhD, knowing that really keeps you motivated throughout the journey. And the second thing I would say, that start early. Like if you have a clarity, like you want to pursue a PhD, or if you want to pursue a career in research, then start early, talk to people. And now they have a huge platform of social media where you can say LinkedIn or Facebook. They can connect to each and everyone so quickly, ask them for informational interview and know about their life. So this can also figure out that, okay, if you want to be in that position or not, like estimating the near future really help you to be on track. And the third thing would be that don't only focus on academics, focus on the soft skills and hard skills, which is necessary for a PhD, like management, time management, I would say organizational skill, because organization is the main thing in PhD. You do an experiment in your first year and then you have to publish it in your last year. So if you don't manage well to document it, it's of no use. So learn those skills. That's I guess 3 main points I would say that focus on it.
So here to all of the researchers, Dr. Shivalee mentioned about you doing an experiment in first year, and after even 4 years, 5 years, when you are writing your thesis, you need the details of that. And speaking for myself, I was in initial days, it was very tough for me to write everything, because as a young researcher, you think you can remember everything.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Probably for a month, for a year, but you are going to forget. That is how human brain works. So don't over rely on your brain. Note it down. Literally pen down everything you do, and as detailed as you can go. Because that will help you in troubleshooting. That will help you in reproducibility, which is a very important part. If you cannot reproduce your own data, don't think that anyone else can use your research. And here, when we at this platform, when we are celebrating researchers, so this brings me to one question. Shivalee, do you believe that you are a researcher celebrity?
I don't, but if you're saying so, then I would consider myself.
Okay, I'll give you the perspective. So Empowering Science Foundation believe in breaking the barriers. And one of the barriers which the world is facing is not many people see researchers as celebrities. So we thought that, okay, let's celebrate research. And if we are celebrating the research, every single researcher becomes a researcher celebrity.
Yeah, that's a good way to put in. And yeah, thank you for doing this, and thank you for taking this initiative. I would like to end up the conversation with which I took away from my PhD is attention to detail, as you mentioned that, because we as, I don't know if it is Indians or we as Asians, we are not taught to pay attention to details. And this is a great skill to move forward. Like research is all about details. Like if you miss one detail, then the whole track can go the other way around. So attention to details is really important and a skill to learn when you're developing yourself as a researcher.
Yeah, and also all the researchers, don't forget to learn the soft skills. Dr. Shivalee mentioned that briefly. Soft skills nowadays are way more important than performing an experiment, because you might have done something very beautiful, probably genius. But if you cannot communicate it to others, you cannot publish it, then it is a great piece of research which is sitting on a bench. And nobody does research for keeping in the cupboards. Nowadays, with competition in publication, because that is the currency of a researcher, how rich or how poor you are on based of your experience for sure, but supplemented by your publications. So keep all these things in mind. Stay tuned. We will come with another researcher celebrity soon. And for today, we would like to thank Dr. Shivalee for taking time out. And with your permission, can I ask every researcher that they can write to you whenever they are applying or if they are facing some problem, because we can see that the yoga and meditation early morning that schedule has given you that calmness, that zen, which you can share with the researchers who are going through a rough patch.
Yeah, sure. Like each and everyone who are facing difficulty, who want to talk and vent out, because talking to a third person is much more easier than talking to closed ones now. So I am all yours, and I would make time to talk and like communicate with you. So whenever you are in trouble, just please talk to me.
Thank you, Dr. Shivalee, and for all the researchers, stay tuned. We'll be back with another researcher episode, celebrity episode. Till then, if you feel you want to write directly to Dr. Shivalee, you can write it to her. If you think you want to write to Dr. Empowering Science Foundation, where we have our community of researcher celebrities, which in specific, if you want to connect to someone, we can connect with that. And keep doing your research. Good luck, Dr. Shivalee.
Thank you so much for having me.